All right.
Okay, let's begin. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We have a very, very, very special guest today. We have Sandra here with Ramo Nutrients, Ramo's wife. I'm sure you all have heard about her at this point. And then, of course, my guest host, Julie Stevens, and I'm Brittany Guthrie. We're going to get.
I'm one of the main hosts. Let's be real.
Did I say guest host?
You did. I'm a little offended.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, let's start over.
No,
My
it's fine.
apologies. No,
Let's carry
you're not
on.
a guest host.
Let's carry on.
You sure?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I hope she keeps that.
We have a whatever. Anyway,
right.
let's continue. Sorry.
Yeah, you
She has
got
to
too
edit this
high.
down now. No, my bad. Anyway, okay. Thank you, Sandra, so much for coming. We're really excited to be here, cozied up in your wonderful little living room. It's such a beautiful day out there.
It is.
Really, really lucky to be here. Tell us a little bit about your cannabis journey, where you started, where you are now, how many years?
Well, it's actually a long time ago. It all started with actually, I was a single mom at the time, and I met this guy at Wreck Beach who convinced me that I should, because I was working hard, but I was burning out, right? I was working 60 hours a week, and
Yeah.
this guy convinced me that I could make some extra money, and I had this storage room, and all I needed to do is grow these plants in this room in my apartment. Well, I had no idea how much weed stank, right? So anyway, so I started vegging these plants in my closet or my storage locker, and then realized, this smells really bad. So, and I'm like, okay, you got to take these plants back. But at the same time, I still loved weed. Always had been around it since I was a teenager. So, it was one of those things. But realized then that growing weed in my apartment was a bad idea. So anyway, that was how it stared. And then I met Ramo in '93, and
for some reason, I thought you were going to say you met Ramo at Wreck Beach.
no.
Okay.
So no. Anyways, I met Ramo, and then was always an adventure with him because he was always fun, and we always had fun. And anyways, and then we were living together, and then I started calculating how much money he was spending on weed, and it was like. We were both working, and he didn't drink or anything, so we weren't spending money on alcohol. But at the same time, he spent money on weed, and it was like $1,000 a month at that time. Like it was $320 an ounce. Anyway, so I was like,
what year? What roughly year was this?
'93.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I said, okay, I found some seeds, and I'm like, okay, let's try these seeds out. Right.
Yeah.
So, and then he'd been growing before he met me back in the day. And so we popped the seeds, and then I had a patio, and I had lots of plants out there. So we started them out outside, and then at 6 o'clock at night, I would bring them in, and I cleared out my kitchen cabinets underneath, and I put them underneath the cupboards so they got darkness. And then because he'd get up before work, and he'd put them out on the patio at 6 a.m. So we learned about light deprivation, obviously, real quick. So I did anyway.
Yeah.
And anyway, so then he got these 4 plants, and I was like, this is awesome. So then I thought, let's continue doing this. So I had a closet in our house, and did it right this time, and understood I needed filters and things like that. But because he was smoking, I just wanted him to have personal smoke. Right. So that's how it officially started. And then my kids sort of saw that we expanded a little bit into a bedroom because the closet was just too small. And so we had one light in the bedroom, and plants were around it. And my kids were like, we told them that it was tomato plants because at that time, kids could be interviewed at school, and they would talk to like, oh, do your parents smoke weed? Things like that. There was questions, and you could risk having your kids taken away from you. So we were very, very careful to never have that, we couldn't have that discussion as much as we wanted to.
Yeah. Parents are lucky now.
Yeah.
There's a lot less stress around that.
They're never going to have to experience that. And so that's really the cool part though. And,
yeah.
Well, so like regarding that though, like when was like the age that you kind of had the discussion with your kids?
Well, actually, there's a bit of a story because we got and how to talk to them too, because
exactly, with the right education.
yeah. So bit of a thing there. We actually did end up one point. A doctor had, because Ramo had broken his back in 1995, and he went to the doctor. He'd been getting all these medications, pharmaceuticals, and everything. And Ramo was like, "This is not." He got ulcers from the medicine, and then it was limiting his work as well. And then his doctor said, "Hey, have you thought about using cannabis?" And Raymond was like, "What?" I mean, he used it, but not as medicine. It was just recreational. He, thought, right? But he goes, "No." He goes, "There's a what's happening in California, like Prop 215 and all that. Like there's a real thing about it." And so the doctor actually mentioned it to Ramo, but it's not like the doctor couldn't sign for Ramo, because at that time there was category 1, category 2, and category 3. Category 1 was you're dying, right? Or you're like, it's a really bad. Category 2 was the less like bad. So in other words, like you could have a spinal cord injury or spinal cord disease or that kind of thing, or broken back. So we started growing our own. We had more, but then we got busted. It's kind of complicated, but anyway, social services came in. They wanted to drug test our kids. I did not smoke cannabis at the time at all, because I had a baby, and it was just not something that actually, it was kind of, my body said no. Cut that out. But my body basically rejected weed, and so it was one of those things. So they were wanting to have social services involved in our family, and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, I don't believe in corporal punishment. I never spanked my kids. My kids were straight A honor roll students." And then they wanted to intervene with our son. We went to court, and we spent $24,000 fighting them. We actually had to sell our first house, our house up in Kamloops that we had bought. We had to sell it for a loss to pay for the legal bills. And so that was our very first experience. And that was like in 2000. And then we ended up, we won the court case. The court case was kind of really important, because it was establishing that you could be a good parent, because it was being presumed that you must be a bad parent because you smoke cannabis or you're involved in cannabis. And the police were like, "Well, if it's medical, why don't your kids know about it?" And we're like, "Well, how can we talk to our kids about it when we didn't know at that time?" It was just starting to happen that you could get a Section 56. So by the time we did go to court, Ramo did have a Section 56. And so we basically were one of the very first people for that to happen. And so we were able to talk to our kids about it. And I actually went down to Cannabis Culture to back in the day, because there were some young people working there, and I ended up talking to, I wanted to talk to other people who, how do you talk to your kids about it? Right. Yeah. And so, and I ended up talking to them about it from the perspective of medicine, which is what I did. And it's the same thing with, for example, if you're a diabetic, you're, having to inject needles, that kind of thing. It's the same kind of discussion. And so we did that. And that's kind of how it all started. And then, we've gone from, that's how we ended up doing what we're doing, because we realized it's the moms that actually, I phoned up my mom in that same year, and I said, "Mom, I figured out what I'm supposed to do with my life. And it's about weed, and it's about making sure that this doesn't happen to other moms and dads, and that people don't go to jail for a plant." So this has been a long journey, and so I'm grateful. It's not perfect. Like, there's a lot of things wrong with how things are now, as far as, but it's a process. And I've said this to you before, when alcohol prohibition ended back in the 30s, even in the 70s, when you went to go buy alcohol in Ontario, it came down a conveyor belt. You paid for it. You put it in the trunk of your car. You weren't even allowed to stop at a gas station. And that's 4 years after alcohol prohibition ended. So if we all think that it's going to be slam dunk, easy peasy, it's easy, we're done. No, this is a process and it will take time, but we all have to keep on working to make it better.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you are such a phenomenal mother, and I know you're definitely a mother figure for the industry, honestly. Like, you've taken care of so many of us, and you always come in with grace and show so much love, and makes me really sad to think people have ever judged you just for your career choice. But
I am getting to know you as well recently, and you give me such a warm and welcoming vibe.
Oh,
And
thanks.
yeah, I can see that what Brittany's saying, and so it's amazing. That's why we wanted you on this episode.
Oh, thank you. Thanks
Yeah,
very much.
no,
yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. Has there been times where your kids have actually been present for a situation where they were not included because of, you and Ramo and
Actually,
choices?
the other way around. Actually,
Okay.
Ramo wasn't when Michael was playing hockey. He was playing rep hockey because of our YouTube channel. Ramo couldn't go to the hockey games,
Oh.
so he kind of was, and he couldn't go because the kids knew who he was, and they would tell the coaches, and so or if they even if they didn't tell the coaches, it affected Michael's teammates, and they assumed that he was a pothead, and at that time Michael was not involved in any kind of cannabis at all, and so it was hard on him because he did have issues, and it just it wasn't until later that it was going to be considered cool. But the reality is, when you're a kid, you don't want any of that stuff, right? You just want to you have your friends and things like that. But it did affect him in the sense that we also, parents would find out about it and they'd be like, "Oh, my kid's not allowed to play with your kids," and stuff like that. So it was an issue, and so again, it's always about stigma. And I know people talk about it and think that there isn't that stigma anymore. Well, it's still very much there, and we still have lots to work on. So yeah.
Oh, Stella. Yes, I agree. This is Stella, everyone,
Yes.
by the way. She is the biggest mama's girl ever.
She's my baby.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's super unfortunate. But I've been lucky enough to meet Michael a couple times, and he's so pleasant. Like, I think perhaps because he has been through so much in life with that, and he just doesn't seem like the type of person who would ever want anyone to feel not welcome or included.
No,
like,
for
he's
sure.
just so kind and chill, and
yeah.
that's awesome. Well done. Yeah, Julie.
I'm just enjoying the view. I am so sorry. It is beautiful out here. And yeah, hello. Are you there? Yeah, no. I think for me, I have just like a question. What kind of advice would you give to new parents coming into this, like talking with their children and handling situations like that? Like,
that's a tough question, actually, because I hope that none of the parents go through what we've had to go through in the past. And I've been grateful to places like Cannabis Culture, to resources that I was able to find online at the time. Like I said, Pot TV was a huge resource. There was another group that was Drug Policy Alliance. And so when things happened, I needed resources that would make sense for me so I could understand what was happening. But as far as parenting goes, I think that the world is changing. I think that until there's still a reality, unfortunately. I hate to say it, but even if you work at a pot store, it can affect, we're still at that stage where you almost need to be able to say you work somewhere else.
I have had to do that, to rent an apartment and to even find like a room to rent. I've had to say I work somewhere else, and it's unfortunate. And that's
Where'd you
been
say you work?
I said I worked at Cactus Club.
See, there you go.
But like, it was just, I was going to these apartment viewings and room viewings, and I would say I worked in a cannabis shop, and all of a sudden, even though we were having a great conversation
Yeah.
and getting along, all of
Yeah.
a sudden their vibe just got really weird, and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll
Yeah.
get back to you."
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, okay, I
Yeah.
am gonna tell
Yeah.
a little white lie, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I thought like I was even working, doing like involved, like volunteering with the PAC, right, at school and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would volunteer on my kids' baseball teams and hockey and everything because I thought that would help lessen the stigma. It still lets people, people may not say it to your face, but it's a real thing. And at the same time, you just got to say, fuck it. This is who I am. I'm proud of what I'm doing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity and, move forward in life. Right. And I am so thankful, so grateful for so many people that I've met, the opportunities that we've had. I think we're still, far from where we're going to go, where we're going to get there, but it's going to be up to the next generation, like you guys, right, to come up and take over from where we're going to leave off, right?
We have some big shoes to fill. Like, you guys, there's a lot of you that I have just such high respect for, and I can only thank you guys for everything you've done, because now, me and Brittany can sit here and do stuff like this, and bring a cannabis channel wherever we go. So it's amazing. It's amazing to hear. And honestly, the stories I've heard already today, it's very, very inspiring. Like, to never actually give up. It's
never give up. No, never give
it's
up.
really eye-opening for me. Thank you for your time, because this has been really great so far.
Yeah. No, the other thing to think about too is that, in life you can look at bad situations as, let it take you down, right? But the reality is you have a choice. You can use it to take you to the next level and move forward. And what can I do to make it better? And that's kind of where I have gone. Right?
Well, and you guys, you're a family business. Like, that's extremely unique and special. And may I ask, how long have you guys been in business as Rainbow Nutrients?
Since 2014.
Wow.
So 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah, 11 years. And
who else in your family works with you?
My son-in-law.
Okay.
And my daughter. She's our controller.
Oh, wow.
She's actually in school right now doing her CPA. So
cool. Wow.
So she'll have her designation soon. So it's pretty hard when you've got, you're in controller of a company. You got a couple of kids, all their dance and sports and all that stuff. And, going to school. So, she's a hard worker. And then, of course, our son Michael is involved with us as well. He does a lot of our video editing, filming, stuff like that. And so, it's been fun.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You're very lucky.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Doesn't work for everyone.
No.
It takes a smart and powerful woman to keep that shit together.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but we can make it work. So,
it's worth it.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, I think we're almost at the end here. I really appreciate everything. Is there anything else you want to share, Sandra, with the audience and parents and aspiring parents when it comes to just navigating their relationship with cannabis and their kids?
That's a tough one, but I believe in yourself and know that and trust that you are a good judge of what is right for your kids. Don't sit there and think that don't take in other people's judgments. And chances are your kids are going to be just fine. And that's, I mean that seriously. It doesn't matter what you do to them.
They'll be getting CPAs.
So, they're, for the most part, I think as parents, we all do the best we possibly can. And if you can continue just doing that, and you'll be fine. Kids are wonderful. And I wouldn't, I couldn't live my life without them. So, and grandchildren. So,
yes.
I mean, we have, we have our grandchildren come around and, so I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful for you. Yeah. And this beautiful day. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Sandra.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
Happy
guest host
Mother's
Julie.
Day. I'm sorry.
Happy Mother's
Mother's
Sandra.
Day.
We'll see you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.